Hi everyone, welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Teddy Atlas III, joined by always Boxing Hall of Famer, the pugilistic poet, my main man, my father, Teddy Atlas. How you doing, bud?
Good. A little bit sad because you're going back to Vegas today, so we're not going to see you for a little while. Although I will see you and my grandson and your wife sooner than I thought, because I just got word yesterday that ESPN wants me to go out in September to cover that Canelo Crawford fight, that huge fight out there at Allegiant Stadium, the Radius Stadium out there. I believe the date of the fight is September 13th. So I'll be out there. I'll get to see you again, be with you again. But we're going to miss you. We're missing. We got spoiled having you here for a few weeks. So that's the only thing. The other thing is we're ready to go. We put lists up last week, those historic lists that you've been asking me to do. The fans asked you to do it. You asked me to do it. So we did it. And as long as they continue to devour it, and we mean devour it. I mean devour it. I don't mean, pick at your food. No, I mean devour it. I mean, both hands, pick it up and consume it. As long as the fans do that, we'll continue doing the list. We did the greatest trainers of all time last week, and I think fans liked it. They asked for it. They've been asking for the greatest footwork, fighters with the greatest footwork of all time. So I put together a list of that. I think it's a really good list. We'll put that out, or you'll put that out this week. We'll see how the people like that. And in the meantime, let's get ready to go, because I know one of our most devout listeners and fans, my cousin, Jack O'Hare, I know he's getting ready to do his 5-mile walk, and he does not do the 5-mile walk unless the podcast is in his ear. So I do not want him to miss his walk. Jack, keep on trucking, baby. And we will continue to talk to you and to all the other fans out there in our audience. And God bless everybody. Let's get to boxing. It was how they say it, Bud. The cabinets were a little bare this week, right? But no worries. We always find what we gotta find. There wasn't much boxing. There was a little bit of UFC. And we got a preview show that is, as the great Ed Sullivan used to say, is a really big show. It's a really big show. You're going to enjoy it, because it doesn't get much better than the previews of the fights coming up next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump right into it. Before we get into those previews, we're going to recap, as you just said, the fight action. UFC Fight Night was in Las Vegas at the Apex. We're going to start with the co-main event, flyweights, Steve Erceg versus Osbourne. Now, Erceg, a former title challenger, he snapped a 3-fight losing streak, got back into the win column in this one, but it wasn't without a big scare in the first round. And he was in big trouble and almost out of there. But he was able to regroup, make some adjustments in the second, third round, as you would say, got the better geography that better suited him. And Osbourne, very quick twitched, very fast hands, but a lot of posturing, more posturing than action, where Erceg was able to get the better of him, and in the end, get the unanimous decision win. What'd you make of this one?
Yeah, part of it is the old, G word that I make popular here, geography, baby. Erceg is better on the floor, on the mat. When he was able to get his hands on Osbourne, as you said, he turned it around. He got control of the fight. But it was more than that. I think there was a few things at play here. First of all, things that I talk about a lot, things that are constants in my sport, in the sport of striking, in the sport of boxing, where Osbourne, good striker. That's his thing. That's his forte, right? And he's a southpaw. And the most dangerous punch that an orthodox fighter, that would be Erceg, can face with his southpaws the right hook, the counter right hook. And that dropped him. That's what, to your point. Osbourne blew him up a little bit early on. Erceg got a little anxious, came in reaching a little bit. That southpaw right hook, it was there, caught him behind the ear, on top of the ear a little bit. It dropped him. He was in trouble. He survived it. And then the second round, a couple more things that are constants in boxing in my world. One is, again, the most dangerous punch for me, the right hook from the southpaw. It was there again. Osbourne landed it a couple times with Erceg, not with the same impact, not with the same effect. But what's the other thing I talk about all the time when you're fighting the southpaw, bud? What is it? You know what it is. What is it? I'll let you tell me.
The southpaw killer?
I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. The southpaw killer, the straight right hand. So Erceg, he got to that. And he started landing the straight right hand against his southpaw. He got control back in that second round. And then the third round, he dominated. The third round, you could really use the G word, geography. I mean, he got his hands on him. He got him to the mat. He's the superior guy on the mat than Osbourne is. And if there was a little bit more time left in the round, he might have got a finish. But Osbourne showed plenty of heart. Experienced guy. Erceg got the win. And now he moves on. I mean, this is a guy who's fought all the top guys. Those are the guys he's lost to, right, bud? Is just the top guys, which you can make the argument, give him another shot, and he'll get another shot. But you can make the argument that's where he comes up a little short, when he gets, to the top of the mountain, to the top, not to one of the peaks on Mount Everest, those peaks. You got the peaks on Mount Everest. I forget the name of them, but you got the peaks. And if you get there, you're doing pretty damn good. Not too many people can get there. But then when you get all the way up to the top, only a few can breathe that thin air. And that's where he's come up a little short so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Those fights you're alluding to, when he went for the title opportunity against Pantoja. He also fell short to Kara France, as well as Brandon Moreno, good friend of yours in the show. But like you said, he's back in the conversation after an impressive win. And we will see what will be next for Steve Erceg. Next for us, we're going to get right into it. The main event. That was Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Roman Dolidze. Now, this is one of the most dominant systematic breakdowns I have seen in quite some time in the UFC. I mean, it was apparent from the first round on that he was taking him piece by piece, not just physically, but mentally as well. Hernandez was breaking him down. And I think of your great analogies as we watched this fight together, of you saying he evaporated like a puddle on a hot summer day. I mean, he really did. I thought it could have been stopped in the second round. Maybe the corner stopped it in the third round. Credit to Dolidze. He was powering through. He made it to the fourth, but he got dog-walked right into a submission. An impressive performance. 8 wins in a row now. What'd you make of this performance by Hernandez?
He just made my list. I think he made the list of DC too, Daniel Cormier, in the same way. But he just made my list of favorite fighters, boxing or UFC, that I like to watch and follow and support. I mean, the guy is nothing but fun. He is nothing but fight. His middle name should be Fight. He likes fighting. He's all action. I mean, he's like a Nick Ball in boxing. We're going to talk about Nick Ball later on, previewing his fight coming up. But he's a confident guy. I mean, he's a pure fighter. I think he would fight for free. I think he enjoys fighting. I think it's part of his identity, part of what, gives him an identity, gives him an existence. Again, just aggressive, one gear, One gear, and I love it. I love the gear. I don't give a damn about the other gears. I don't need other gears. I had a 10-speed bike when I was a kid. I saved my money to get it. You know how I got it? I was selling fireworks. I sold the fireworks that summer, saved it up, got $120 to buy a Peugeot 10-speed. Man, I was the man. I had the Cadillac on the block. I had a Cadillac. I had a Peugeot 10-speed. You don't need. Before I had that, I had nothing. I had a 1-speed. And the 1-speed, you know what? It worked pretty good. This guy has 1-speed, but he makes it a 10-speed because nobody told him that it's a 1-speed. He just gets up on that bike and he pumps and he pumps and he pumps and he makes it might as well be a 10-speed because he just keeps going. There are no gears to this guy, like I said. Just completely believes that he's going to get to you. That's his mission. He's on a mission. He makes entertaining fights. He wants to make entertaining fights. He's well-rounded. What more can I say? He broke down a solid guy, a physically bigger guy. He broke him down. He did what you just said, one of my sayings, where you're watching a little puddle on a July day out in the asphalt and the sun is beating down on it and you come back a half hour later and there's no puddle. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? It evaporated. Where did Dolidze go? It evaporated. Dolidze. Whatever. If I'm not pronouncing the Z, you know why? It got evaporated. That's why. Yeah. Hernandez just broke him down, as you said, physically and emotionally and mentally. Masterclass. Give me more. Give me more, Hernandez.
I'm with you. There's nothing to add there. Extremely impressive. And I'm with you. I can't wait to watch this guy fight. He's become one of my favorite fighters now. So, Fluffy Hernandez, congratulations. We'll be on the lookout to see what's next. Only bigger and better things as he climbs up in the middleweight rankings. So, with that being said, that was all the action we're going to cover from this week for fight recaps. But we are going to bring you a bunch of previews. So, we'll start off with the monster card next week, UFC 319. It's going to be from Chicago, Illinois. And that's going to be the middleweight champion, Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. What a fight. I can't wait for this. Du Plessis won 11 fights in a row now. He has not lost in the UFC. And Chimaev, little inactive. His last fight was in 2023 versus Usman. His last fight was in 2024 versus Whitaker and only had one fight in 2023. Don't know if that's going to play a problem or a role in this fight. But I just want to get right into it. The challenger, Chimaev, enters as a 2-1 favorite. What do you make of this one? What can we expect?
I've been quoting a few guys today. I'm going to stay consistent on that path. I'm going to quote a childhood friend of yours, Lenny, one of your best friends, if not your best friend, that you grew up with. I'm going to quote Lenny. Oh, boy. All right, that's for you, Len. Oh, boy. That's what I say about this fight. Oh, boy. Man, I mean, if there is a boogeyman out there for Chimaev, who is the ultimate boogeyman right now, if there is, it's this guy. I don't know if there is. He's that good. I mean, he just broke Whitaker's head like you break a can when you put it in a vice. I know that's graphic, but it's pretty to the point. It's pretty straight on, where you might as well have seen Whitaker's head put into a vice. That's what he did. He just broke it. I think the fights that have really formed him have been the Burns fight and the Usman fight. I think those fights solidified, from a mental standpoint, what he needed to have solidified, which is the answers to questions that he may have still had about himself. Do I belong at this level? Am I at this level? Can I handle this level? Which I don't think he had any doubts, but you still have to get the assurance from experience. Nothing replaces doing it. Nothing replaces the truth that experience is the truth. That's what experience is. It's the truth. And it let him know, yeah, it helped him get better. As I said, just poured the glue over all the tools, the ability, the qualities that he has. And before I move on to Plessis, Chimaev is so strong. He is so freaking strong. But he is also not just strong in a physical sense. The reason he's so great is because he's strong in the mental sense. We've seen plenty of guys strong physically, but mentally, that's where their undoing comes. He is strong. He believes nobody's beating him. He's that guy. He is that strong mentally. And he is fighting a guy now that may be able to match him physically. I mean, we know how big the Plessis is, but that's how strong he is. He might be able to match him with physical strength. I'm not saying he can match. Here's where it gets a little tricky, where a little dicey, where the handicapping comes in. And one of the reasons why, it's going to be an interesting fight. And obviously a fight where Chimaev would be the favorite. But Chimaev technically, with that physical strength, is better. He's a little better, especially on the floor. I mean, I don't know if anybody's matching him on the floor. But Plessis is the ultimate, don't judge a book by its cover. That's him. That saying was made for Plessis. You look at him, big, strong guy, strong. But you say, well, he's crude, he's raw, he's this. He's not, I don't think he's that good over here. I don't think he's that good over there. And then you open up the book and you say, again, to quote our boy Lenny, oh boy, whoa, look at this book. The cover never got me ready or prepared me for what's inside. That's Plessis. That's Plessis. He is better than he looks. He really is. And we've seen those guys. I've seen those guys in boxing. You watch them shadow boxing. You watch them in the gym, you say, this guy's very beatable. And then you get in the ring with him, and he's not. He's not only strong, he not only punches hard, but all of a sudden you say, oh my God, he's tricky, he's this, he's better than I thought he was. He's awkwardly clever. Whatever you want to put on it to explain it. That's Plessis. Very interesting fight. Very interesting. And I always talk about at the end of the day, do they have the mental makeup to match the physical? Plessis does. He does. He's another guy along the lines of Chimaev. He's right there in lane with him. Right there. Where he believes he's going to beat you. He doesn't. He will find a way. You're not beating him. So this is really, I can't go if I'm going to give you a pick. It's hard. It's hard to go against picking Chimaev. But if I were, this would be the guy. This would be the guy. I don't see anybody. I'm going to put weight aside now. We can't put weight aside. They're in those weight classes. I understand that, bud. But if we put weight aside, the only guy I could see with the package physically, technically, mentally, that comes close to someone I would say, yeah, I could see him beating Chimaev, that would be Topuria. That's how I look at it. You know, if he was the same weight. If he was the same weight. That would be the only guy. Because Topuria, to me, is in that special place. You know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying from the striking standpoint. Obviously, like you said, much smaller man. If there's somebody that could maybe match the wrestling prowess, it could be an Islam Makhachev, another much smaller man.
Well, Makhachev and even Marab.
Yeah, the motor, the relentlessness, the groundwork. Yeah.
Yeah, but Chimaev does put himself in a special class. Again, getting back to him and Duplessis is better striking than he looks. He's better on the floor than he looks. There's no doubt where the big advantage is it's on the floor. But Chimaev also looks good striking. He's powerful. He's so strong. Like I said, he's so mentally consistent. But on the floor, on the mat, the wrestling, I mean, that's where he stands out. Duplessis, you would think, is going to try to keep it on his feet, striking. At the same point, Duplessis will have the attitude, and I think I heard him talk on this a little bit, and it made sense, where he have the attitude and the approach going into this fight where, hey, he'll get me on the ground. You know, he's talking about it, get me on the ground. Obviously, that's his world. He'll get me on the ground, but I'll get up. See, that's the thing. He said, but I'll get up. And then he might get me on the ground again. I'll get up again. And he'll start to tire a little bit. And he'll start to realize I'm in there with a different animal. I'm in there with a different animal this time. And then I will start to do the things I do. That's the attitude of a guy who's the underdog, the guy who's in the fight of his life, and the guy who has a chance to upset the apple cart, which would be a pretty good upset.
Yeah, absolutely. Great breakdown. Great fight. Can't wait for this one. I think that Duplessis has to get past the early rounds and get into the deeper waters, and then we could find out if he can break Chimaev. The concerns I would have if you're backing Chimaev is he's known to have some problems with his health and overtrain. And does he leave it in the gym? Does he leave the strength there? And you touched on the mental side, and I agree with you of Chimaev of how strong he is. How do you break him? If I'm the trainer, I might be trying some mental games. Maybe asking Chimaev and starting with have the commission ask him to shave his beard. I know it's not going to happen, but just something to mess with him. That thing is like a pillow. I'm shocked that he's allowed to fight with that. But those are just my thoughts to add to this great matchup coming up.
Those are good points, very good points, especially the one. A lot of people out there, you get educated. You should get educated on a show like this a little bit. A lot of people out there do not realize, in my game, in the boxing game, and of course it translates over to any combat sport, in this case UFC, MMA, how many guys overtrain? The public would be shocked how many guys overtrain. Virgil Ortiz, the undefeated middleweight. I love him. One of my favorite fighters. Probably one of the fans out there favorite fighters. Body puncher, aggressive, undefeated. He had a lot of knockouts. He showed in the last couple fights he also has the ability to box. He's with the best trainer right now, one of the best trainers in boxing, Robert Garcia. Tremendous. But one of his problems early on, and hopefully he's past that, and it seems like he is, he used to overtrain. And he had some health problems when he overtrained, which started to, became a problem. Started to get a little serious. And hopefully he's got that under control. It seems like he does now. But that is a valid point that I don't think anyone else would bring up. That would be one of the things that you would look at in a guy like Chimaev, who's just an animal when it comes to training. And that's part of his confidence, that I'm just going to train harder than any human being walking on this planet with 2 feet. And if there's any walking on this planet with 4 feet, I'm going to work harder than that one. And that can cut 2 ways. Makes you superior, and also the body does have a limit. It does have a limit. And when it hits that limit, sometimes you can play with fire.
Yeah, well said. And I can't wait to see these guys test each other to that limit, because we know what's happening. Again, great breakdown. Before we move on to a preview for the big card in Saudi Arabia in the boxing world next week on August 16th, I just want to take a quick pause and thank today's sponsor, Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens introduces the new AG1 Next Gen. It now includes 5 clinically studied probiotic strains shown to support digestive and immune health with added vitamins and minerals. They've also now have new travel pack designs resulting in a much easier pour to improve the customer experience. So whether you guys are looking to boost your energy levels, support your immune system, or address gut health, Athletic Greens is the way to go. Simply visit athleticgreens.com/atlas to claim your special offer of 10 free travel packs with your first purchase. All right, bud. We'll get into it. That big card, August 16th, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It's a loaded one. There's a lot of fights, and we're going to get into all of them here. But we're going to start off with the heavyweights. We're going to start off with the heavyweight who's getting a lot of attention, and rightfully so. Only 20 years old, Moses Itauma versus Dillian Whyte. Very interesting matchup. Whyte entering this fight, been a little inactive. He's won 3 in a row since his last loss a couple years ago to Tyson Fury. He's 37 years of age now. And Moses is knocking everybody out. He's climbing up the rankings. He's already rated number 1 by the WBO, number 2 by the WBA. And I just want to get right into it. I want to get your thoughts. Moses, 14-1 favorite entering this fight. Can Dillian Whyte turn back the clock and pull off the monster upset?
Listen, the thing that Dillian Whyte is depending on that makes him somebody that you can look at is it's the biggest step up so far for Moses, the young kid, 20 years old, as you said. It's his first real step up in competition, or his biggest step up. Dillian Whyte's experience, his power. He's a big guy and he can punch. That is what Moses is going to deal with, and that is what will give people who want to see the hope that this young kid can be tested a little bit. That is what they're going to bargain on, the experience and the power of Whyte. The problem is Whyte at this point now, and I like him, but at this point, because he's fought everybody, I give him credit. I like him. He's been in there with everyone. He, getting at the age he is, his legs are looking a little old. I see a little of that aging in his legs when he steps out. I was watching film to prepare for you guys. I do work for you. And they're a little bit, he's got a little trouble getting out the door. When I say the door, going back, getting out the exit. The legs, sometimes they trip a little bit. And that could be a problem. This kid, Moses, he's young, he's athletic, he's technically grounded, he's technically taught right, and he's explosive, not just with his hands, with his feet. He closes gaps fast. And if he sees a little bit of a problem with those old legs stepping out, where Whyte does sometimes, like I just said, look for it. Look for it. And he steps out with his hands low sometimes. I can see Moses exploding forward and catching him and ending this fight before it gets started. And the other thing I could also see is Dillian Whyte, defensively, when you chuck at his head, he'll bend, he'll weave, he'll roll. The problem is I don't think he was ever taught the proper technique where you bend your knees to roll. He'll bend from his waist, and he'll lean forward rolling. And when you lean forward rolling, there's a blind spot where as you're rolling, you're leaning forward, you cannot see the uppercuts coming. You cannot see anything coming. But I picked the uppercut because that is the one that can be the most dangerous in that position. And I can see Moses, if they did their homework by doing their, preparation and their game planning and looking at film, where you throw a couple throwaway punches up top, get Dillian Whyte to roll. Get him to roll. Get him to roll. And when you get him to roll and lean forward, I'm sure Ben's going to get some tape up on this. When you get him to lean forward a little bit, time him with an uppercut. Chuck something up top, pop, pop, and then come back with the uppercut. Finish with the uppercut. And I think those two spots, with that and stepping out, I think Moses could make it an early night. He could take what possibly could be a test, a step up, and actually ace it. Ace it. And that's it.
Yeah, to your point, Moses has won the last 8 fights by KO, 6 of them in the first round, and the other 2 in the second round. He's making quick work of everybody. Vegas has this set at 4.5 rounds for the over-under. They're not expecting it to go too long either.
Well, what is the line on the over-under?
The over-under is just about a pick 'em, minus 125 over 4.5 rounds. And again, Moses, tremendous favorite, 14-1 heading into this one.
Well, I mean, you didn't ask me for this, but I put myself in this position. I don't mind. I climb out on limbs. I do it all the time. I fall every once in a while, too. But then I go to the chiropractor. That's all. I'll go with the under. Yeah, I like Dillian Whyte. I want to see him do well. He's done well. He's had a heck of a career. But I recognize talent. I recognize when a changing of the guard is happening and somebody new and somebody special is coming along. And I think this kid Moses fits that bill. I think it could be earlier than the odds makers even think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Whyte's 3 knockout losses in his career all came to former world champions, heavyweight world champions, obviously. One of them being your own, Alexander Povetkin, of course, Tyson Fury, and years ago, Anthony Joshua. So this is a good test. If Moses is the next man up, a lot of people are expecting him to make quick work and knock Dillian Whyte out. So with that being said, that was a thorough breakdown for that one. We're going to keep it moving, bud. We're going to stick with the heavyweights, and we're going to get into Filip Hrgovic versus David Adeleye. A very interesting clash of heavyweights. Two big guys that could bang. Hrgovic bounced back in the win column his last fight. That was against Joe Joyce after his lone defeat before that by knockout to Daniel Dubois. And Adelaye's won 2 in a row since his lone defeat to Fabio Wardley, the big puncher. Big heavyweights, big punchers. Want to hear your take? What should we expect in this one? Hrgovic entering 6-1 favorite.
Yeah, listen, Hrgovic, very, very simple. He's very standard. I'm not knocking him, but he's very standard. It's jab and right hand. He stands straight up, pulls out straight. You can hit him. He is not a ghost in there. Friendly or unfriendly. He's not a ghost. He ain't hard to find. He ain't hard to see. You can hit him. Dubois hit him plenty of times when he wound up stopping him and wore him down. Jab, right hand. Hrgovic's not a huge puncher. Decent puncher. He can hurt you. He's a heavyweight. He's big. He can hurt you. But he's not the punch in the level of Moses, the kid we just talked about, or the level of Dubois, or of those guys. But he has an edge, I think, in the mental department, in the experience and the mental department over Adeleye, where he's more consistent and dependable mentally. I don't know how consistent and dependable Adeleye is, for me. He's very awkward, and he's very sporadic. He fights in bursts. He can punch. He is dangerous. I wouldn't jump and lay big odds and take Hrgovic, knowing that if this guy hits him right, Hrgovic has shown a good chin, but this guy is a good puncher. And if he hits him right, that's his hope. For me, the hope for me with Adeleye is he's got to hurt him. He ain't going the distance and beating him. I don't think he's consistent enough offensively or mentally. And they go hand in hand. If you're not consistent mentally, you're not consistent offensively. You're sporadic. There's a reason why you're sporadic. You fight in spots. You fight in bursts. And he ain't the prettiest guy to watch. He's a big, strong guy. He can punch. Like I said, he's awkward. But you get close to him, he'll grab you. I mean, it could become a grab fest. I've seen it with him. So, at the end of the day, there will be pockets in this fight because, as I already said very clearly, Hrgovic ain't the hardest guy. He ain't the ghost. He ain't the hardest guy to hit, to find. So, Adeleye, with that power, he does have hope to land it. At the end of the day, Hrgovic doesn't get knocked out. He wins the fight. He's just more consistent mentally, more stable mentally, and more consistent offensively. Even though he's very standard, he will be that round after round where Adeleye, again, will have too many. He's too spotty. Just too many inconsistencies in the offensive attack. So there may be some grabbing there, might get some ugly spots. I don't know if it'll be the prettiest fight to watch in the world, but at the end of the day, I think the experience, the chin of Hrgovic, the consistency of Hrgovic will bear out for him. But don't get hit. Don't get hit a bomb though. Be careful.
I think the 6-1 favorite, kind of to your point, leans towards the experience factor and advantage for Hrgovic, right? He's been in there and went the distance with Big Bang Zhang. Obviously, we already touched on he's been in the ring, although he was stopped by Dubois, most recently versus Joe Joyce. He's fought the higher level of opposition, where Adeleye, in his one step up versus Fabio Wardley, he made a big mistake, and maybe it was the lack of experience in the clinch. And I think that showed, and he got caught with a big shot, and he was knocked out. But excited to see this one, and excited to see two big heavyweights going at it. So we will switch gears. We're going to stick with the same card, but we're going to go from the heavyweights to the featherweights. And one of your favorite fighters, and one of the most fan-friendly fighters to watch, WBA featherweight champion Nick Ball defending his title against Sam Goodman. Now, we know what Nick Ball brings. He's relentless. He brings pressure, and he doesn't stop all night long. A lot of people probably don't know what Sam Goodman brings. He's never fought outside of his home country of Australia. So just want to hear, what does Sam Goodman bring? Can he defeat and pull off the upset against Nick Ball?
He's a tough kid. He's a fighter. Talking about Sam Goodman from the UK. He's a fighter. He's gritty. He believes in himself. He's a boxer. He uses his jab. He likes to control range, mostly with his legs, in and out. He's good. He's got a good range finder of knowing where he's out of range, in range. He'll look to do that. Given his druthers, he's an outside man. He's an outside guy. He'll fight on the outside and look to, pick you a little bit, find spots to counter, get off first, use that jab to set the table, and keep free with his legs on the outside. He's not going to run. He's not going to, he's not going to become a guy on a bicycle that way, but he will box. We know what my boy Nick will do. He will come to get you. He will come to get you. He will come forward. Here's where the problem for Goodman comes into play. He doesn't have the firepower. He's got everything I just described. For people that didn't see him, he jabs, he controls range pretty well. He'll mix it up, he'll get off first, then he'll look to counter. But he don't have the pop. He don't have the artillery. And you got to have some pop if you're going to fight Nick Ball. Something to deter him. Something to make him think twice about coming forward, because he's coming forward. Something to slow him down. And that is the one area that Goodman comes up short. I don't know. We always want to fight our fight. So here it is. The fight that Goodman has to fight to win, his fight, is on the outside. The fight that Ball wants to fight and always looks to fight is on, not just on the inside, but it's coming forward. It's by being relentless, by breaking you down, bringing pressure, always forcing you back, getting you into the ropes when he can get you into the ropes. I don't see Goodman being able to fight for 12 rounds in that geography. His fight, his territory. I don't know that he can keep it on the outside long enough, consistently enough to win the fight. I think that at some point, somebody that's going to win the fight usually wins it because they make it their fight. They get it to the kind of fight they are comfortable in. They want. I think that will happen at some point. Probably take 6 rounds, but that Nick Ball will get it to where it starts to become his fight. In close, pressure, body work, against the ropes, where he can throw those barrages. Again, I'll repeat myself with this last one. I just don't know that Goodman, I think he could do it for the early part of the fight, but I don't think Goodman can do it long enough fighting his fight on the outside to take the belt from Nick Ball. Is that fair?
That's fair, and that's a great breakdown. I'm not familiar with Sam Goodman. I said earlier, all of his fights were in Australia, and that's part of the reason why. I haven't been exposed to him yet, but you just painted a perfect picture, and I got a good feeling of what he is now. And to your point, only 8 knockouts in his 20 wins. So he's going to be tested. We're going to find out, because like you said, Nick Ball, he brings it, and he is fun to watch. You don't want to miss that one. We're going to keep it moving. The final fight we're going to give you a preview for this big card in Saudi Arabia is the former 126-pound champion, featherweights we just spoke about, with his one loss being to Nick Ball, and that's Raymond Ford. Ray Ford is now campaigning at 130 pounds. This fight was supposed to initially be versus Anthony Kachachi. Kachachi had to withdraw due to injury, and that sets up the opportunity for Abram Nova to step in on relatively short notice as the replacement. Now, Ford is a fighter that for quite some time, pretty much before I heard anybody else saying it, you've been given high praise and a big fan of his skills. And we're going to see another test again at 130 pounds. He enters as a big favorite as well. Is Nova capable of upsetting Ray Ford?
You're right, bud. I've been on the Ford wagon. You like that? Ford wagon? You know, Ford, Motor Ford? You know, right? Yeah, I thought you might like that. Yeah, I thought that was a little bit neat. Yeah, I've been on the Ford Mobile for a while. Why? Well, first of all, it comes from Cadman, New Jersey. Am I saying it right? Yeah, right? Camden. And some good fighters came from there. I mean, it's a place that can, you might have to learn to fight to come from there, to be quite honest, and I'm always honest about this podcast and about the things that come out of my mouth, and straightforward. I try to be. We had Dwight Muhammad Qawi light heavyweight champ, cruiserweight champ, come from there. The thing that stands out about Dwight Kwawi for me, I mean, he was a guy that pressed you, a guy that was always putting pressure on you, good puncher, but he defeated one of my favorite fighters, Saad Muhammad. He took the title away from Saad Muhammad. And I was there. I was there in Atlantic City. He fought him twice. I was there in Atlantic City when he did it. And then he gave Holyfield really his best fight up to that point. When Holyfield won the cruiserweight title, that was 15 rounds. And he went 15 rounds with Holyfield. He won it. I mean, that was the coming out of Holyfield. That was the real coming of him, where you say, wow, yeah, this guy is real. He is the real deal. And there's only more, there's no ceiling to where this guy can go. There's only up that he can go. So those fights are emblazoned in my mind. And being that he came from Camden, when I started to first hear about Ford, I started looking at him. I watched his fights. I said, wow. First of all, the thing that struck me was he's got good people teaching him. He's got good trainers around him because he is solid technically. He's got talent, but he is solid. He can counter. He can go get you. He can fight in close. He can use his legs when he has to. His defense is solid. You said it, bud. He's been one of my favorite fighters now. Before it was obvious to the public how good he was, before he won that title. I thought he fought a very close fight with Ball in Saudi Arabia. I love both of them, but I said it then, I'll say it now. I thought Ford nicked it out. I thought he nicked it out, but anyway, it doesn't matter. He moved up in weight. It's probably more comfortable for him. And he's in there with Nova, an experienced guy, a guy that, he's been in with good fighters. He's been in there with top guys. A guy that knows how to box. A guy who I believe he'll go about boxing a smart fight on the outside, looking to use his jab, use his legs a little bit, control range, look for pot shots where he gets his spots with that jab, with his legs, setting up, the right moments to get off. Like I said, he's a good boxer. He's a good, solid fighter, Nova. He knows what he's doing. He also mixes in counters nicely. I just think that anything he does, he can't do better than Ford. I mean, I know that's putting it in a simple way, but it's kind of like that song. I can do anything you can do better. Anything you can do, I can do better. Yeah, it almost falls into and it's not a knock on Nova. A nice, solid fighter. And Ford will have to be on his P's and Q's to win this fight. Because Nova, if you're sleeping on him, he's good enough to give you problems. He's a good, solid boxer, fighter. And he's got the attitude of a fighter. I think that attitude got him in trouble in one of his fights, a fight that he got stopped. But I'm not going against Ford. This is a guy I've been touting before he was toutable, before everybody, knew that he was more than just a car, that he was actually a top prospect fighter. So I think the jab is going to be the key. If you ask me for one element in this fight, Teddy, what is the key element? I think it's the jab. I think the jab will be very important for Nova to control and dictate the outside. And it will be very important for Ford to make sure he doesn't do that. To make sure that Ford puts himself, you ready, bud? This is how I'm going to finish it. Puts himself in the driver's seat.
I like it. I like it. I like the breakdown. And the fight you're alluding to when he was stopped, Nova, that was versus the former gold medalist and former world champion, Robeisy Ramirez. And Nova also has fought for the world title at 130 pounds, came up short, but he did challenge versus O'Shaquie Foster. So to your point, this is a solid guy and a test for Ray Ford. And a fight I look forward to watching as well as with all of those fights on this great card we just previewed. So before we sign off, that does it for this week's recaps and previews. I want to throw one more thing at you, and that's the news. It's been out there for about a month or so, and it's picking up more steam. Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua. Now, Eddie Hearn came out this week most recently and said, I never thought I would say this, but right now the front runner for this fight is Jake Paul for Anthony Joshua's ring return. Joshua coming up almost on a year in September since his KO loss to Daniel Dubois. He's going to be 35 years of age. It's crazy what I'm about to ask you, but can Jake Paul really beat Anthony Joshua?
All right, listen, I give all credit. Everyone knows that. They get mad at me that I gave too much credit to Paul. Why? He's done a hell of a job to put himself in this position. He sold himself. He sold his dream. He took his dream. He took his idea. And he put it out there, and he made it happen. Give him credit for that. And he made it happen. And he took risk along the way. Yeah, he picked his spots. He's in the driver's seat. He gets to pick his spots. He's the one bringing the money. He's the one promoting. Yeah, he's the name. He made himself that, coming from where he came from, with all his followers and the whole thing, and just the uniqueness of what he was doing. But he has learned along the way. He's not a top guy yet. No, I don't know that he ever will be. He didn't have that amateur background and the things that you usually need to be a top guy. But he has improved. He is a work in progress. He is a guy that you got to give him credit that he's respected the sport. He went out there, he's worked hard at it, and he's gotten himself into this position. Having said all of that, this might be a step too far. Now, when I say it, I'm also, I try to be responsible. I've been in this game 50 years, so I know where not to step, where you could twist an ankle, or worse, you could break a leg or fall down. When I say that with the understanding, too, that Joshua's coming off being knocked out. Joshua hasn't fought for a year, right? But it's about a year. And there's some ghost in his attic. There are. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's gotten rid of some of them, but I know that in the position of a fighter coming where he's coming from, there are ghosts in your attic. I don't know if those ghosts are still taking up space. I don't know if maybe there could be no better exorcism for those ghosts than fighting a Jake Paul. That might be just the exorcism you need to clear out the attic. I don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. That's the mystery part of this. That's what makes it so. It makes it two things at once: intriguing and, in some ways, infuriating. Really, give Paul credit for doing that. He intrigues you. He makes you think about it. We're talking about it. Eddie Hearn's talking about it, thinking about it. And he's very honest that he heard about it. I never thought I'd be saying this. Oh, my God. But he might put himself in that position. And then it's infuriating where there'll be fans and the fight fans and the real hardcore ones that are saying, come on now. He doesn't deserve to be in this spot. He doesn't, he shouldn't be. Someone else should be. All of that. Let's not forget one word that starts with the E. Before we go into the word that starts with the S, the sport of boxing, remember the E. It's an entertainment entertainment business. Entertainment. That still comes out, that E word. And he has put himself in that position for us to entertain the thought that, wow, maybe could happen. And I'll tell you one thing about Paul. So far, his picking, his choosing, his timing, his ability, to just, again, manage his way. Not just fight his way, but manage by picking the right spots, has been pretty good. Other than the Tommy Fury, and that was close, but it's been pretty good. Now, again, I said it already. For anyone who wants to go this way or that, this is the one that at first strikes me as, and I use that word, that phrase, it could be a step too far. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I'm willing to take that step to find out. That's it. What else can I say? I don't know. I know Joshua's a gold medalist. He's a two-time champion. He's a big guy. He's a good puncher, especially with the right hand. He's a former world champion, but he's also a former world champion who's getting older. He's also a former world champion coming off a devastating knockout loss, a world champion who's made a lot of money, where he's got to be comfortable, at least in that area, where, yeah, he's still way above a Jake Paul as far as even thinking about them being competitive as far as skills, experience, ability. I don't argue that. I say it myself. But what would Joshua be when he gets in the ring? What would he bring? Would he bring still that ability to do what he did with Ngannou? And I think that's a very fair comparison. Because again, Ngannou was not your conventional boxer. He was coming from the MMA. He wasn't coming from the boxing world. So I think it's a very fair description. Or possible, analogy, comparison. So, is that the Joshua? He reacts that way? And he shows that? The difference, the stark difference in a guy who's not a top pro and a guy who has been a top pro? Does that happen? Yeah, it might happen. It might happen. Or you might watch it to find out about the or.
People are going to watch it. They can say what they want about Jake Paul. They do watch it. Makes a lot of money. And that's why I would be very impressed by Jake Paul if this fight came to fruition. Because he does, yes, he's going to make a ton of money for this fight. We get that. But he makes a ton of money anyway. And to take this risk when he doesn't need to in the ways of already, like I said, making money and not have all the advantages other than being the younger man versus a guy that does fight at 250 pounds, at 6'5", a gold medalist, two-time heavyweight champion. I'm kind of interested to see it. I don't know. But we'll see how it unfolds. We'll see if it does happen.
And this would be the one time maybe, tell me if I'm wrong, bud, where, aside from experience and look, come on, apples and oranges. All right. Joshua's, again, gold medalist, Olympics, two-time heavyweight champ. I understand. Nobody has to tell Teddy Atlas. I understand. The craziness of how crazy and what a difference in ability and experience and talent, all that stuff. I get it. But this would also be the first time that I think Paul would not have the advantage of size, where he's usually the bigger guy. He's usually, the guy that's, from what I can remember, he's pretty much fought all guys that, he's fighting a guy now that I think his last fight, Joshua was what, 250?
No, that's what I was just saying. He would not have any of the advantages where he has in the past. And this, other than being the younger man going into this, because he's I think about 27 or 28, and as we said, Joshua is 35. So that's what makes it extra intriguing. So
And I'll put my last thing. I agree with you. I mean, I always give him credit anyway, Paul. I've been giving him credit because where he deserves it, I give him credit. But if he takes this fight, I'll give him extra credit. I'll give him credit. I feel like I'm in the teacher's chair. Hey, I'm going to give you extra credit. I'll give you extra credit for that one. You get extra credit. You get an extra 10 points.
Well, that wraps it up for this week's coverage. Any final words before we sign off here, bud?
Yeah, everybody, treat everybody good. Treat yourselves good, but treat others good, and let your loved ones, especially close to you, let them know you love them. Because I don't know what's. Sometimes life makes me say these things, but tomorrow is not promised to anybody, and just you have people around you. Sometimes we all take it for granted. We forget to, how important they are to us for that moment, and we forget to sometimes just say, "Hey, I love you. You're great." Don't forget to do that. Let the people around you know that you love them, and be the best version of yourself as possible. And watch our show, and watch the list, and tell us how you like the list, because you got another one coming up.
Well, I will be the first one to say it, and I'm not shy. I love you, bud. Thank you. I hope everybody out there enjoyed this show. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, and we will be back with you guys next week.